Hi, everyone. See who's here. So we've got two, three. We need to move Michael.
Ida, um, Jessica is out sick. Pete is not able to make the meeting, and George is out of the country.
Okay. And Dahlia.
I haven't heard from her at all.
Okay. All right. Okay. We can go ahead and proceed with the meeting. Okay. With the three board members here. Okay. I will go ahead and call the meeting to order at 4:02. Roll call, please.
Megan Clausen,
Here, Denver.
Pete Lee, Michael Stone,
Michael Stone here, Boulder.
Dahlia Casillas, George Welsh, Ida Wilding.
Here, Colorado Springs. Did you say Jess Lee?
Jessica's out sick.
Right. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and move forward with our discussion. There's two items to discuss with three board members. So guess we'll see how that goes. First of all, discussing board committees. Tara?
Yes, hi, this is Tara signing. Yes, so we did start initially talking about these committees during our retreat, but we didn't finalize or finish that conversation. So I thought of a few more things that we needed to decide upon. One of those is that we had talked about, would the committee just be board members, or would it include others? So we talked about that. Maybe just board, or is it going to be one or two other people? So that was one thing we didn't really make a final decision on. And we did also talk about when those board meetings would happen. We had a couple of different options. We could do one every other month. So every month we could have them happen during our already scheduled work session meetings, with the understanding that we would take 1 hour for each committee, having two committees on those evenings. And we also didn't decide which board members wanted to join those committees. I know a few people raised their hand, but I don't think we had a final decision as to who wanted to join those. So those three things we need to still discuss.
And this is Ida. Yes, thank you, Tara. So, from my perspective, maybe, I don't know, perhaps we could call, I think it's called a doodle, is that right? A survey,
Mhm.
since there's only three of us on today. So we could ask which committees people want to participate in. And then once they are assigned, if you will, to a committee, then we could say, like if that board member happens to know an expert, they could bring them into that meeting.
Yeah, perfect.
Bring your knowledge, your resources, your supports for whatever that committee may be for. Is that kind of what we're thinking?
Yes. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be the same people always. There'll be topics that maybe there's specific people you want to invite to those committees, that may be the knowledge experts for that. So definitely, I love that idea. So I could send out that email that you mentioned, like a survey type or whatever, to all of the board members and see who's interested and able to join either the finance committee or the legislative committee. Okay, yeah, I can go ahead and do that, sure.
Megan?
Yeah, sorry folks, my camera's off. I'm running around. But I agree with that. And I think because we've had such a challenge scheduling meetings in the past that we should use this already established time of the work sessions to do that work.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is Ida. Yeah, I agree. That scheduling, I think that works. And then the board could just decide who they want to bring into those committees as necessary.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So Tara, go ahead and do that. Michael?
Thank you, Michael speaking. Um, there was a third committee, if I recall, uh, that we talked about, and I just wanted to verify that one.
This is Ida. I thought we started talking about two. We did discuss an educational meeting, but that then I think became part of the legislative part because, talking about fighting laws and policies to protect our education for our children. So I think that's where we decided, if you're interested in that vein, to join the legislative committee, and then the finance committee, should be people who know money. Tara?
This is Tara signing. Also, do you want me to go ahead and ask the board members about those options for times? Do they want it monthly, every other month, or do they want it during our regularly scheduled work sessions? And do the 2 hours, one for one meeting, second hour for the other one. So we're able to make that decision. I'm going to ask them that as well.
Hmm, this is Ida. I'm just wondering if we go ahead and start with the
Perfect.
first hour and then the second hour of the meeting and see how we feel, um, you know, for the first
2 months.
2 months, month or two.
Okay, yeah, I could definitely do that. I think we should go ahead and just to see how it goes. Yeah. It could be dependent on the work of the committee for how long we would keep that,
Yeah,
maybe one committee may need the whole 2 hours to get going or something like that. I think we start with that
true.
and then we can be flexible um, going forward. But I think we'll start with the 1 hour and see how that goes. Again, because they're already scheduled on our calendars as work sessions. So I think, that is really nice. And then we could just have that flexibility change if needed.
This is Ida. Agreed. Yeah, I would agree with that. Michael and Megan, what do you think?
This is Megan. Yeah, I think maybe after we do it a few times, we'll have a better idea of the cadence and be able to prioritize how to use that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is Ida. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, the best use of our time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Any more questions or discussion on that, Michael?
Thank you, Michael speaking. If we could just add a couple specifics to each committee, in other words, rather than we're calling it legislative slash education or any subheading, exactly, and then of course the finance, exactly what it is that we're trying to do. If we could just maybe, and we could even just do that right here today, is button it up as to what our intentions are and also just for the record, just discuss the history of why we're having this. It was initially stated, and I believe maybe perhaps by you, Ida, to make the most of our work sessions, and it could have been Tara as well, and why we're doing this.
This is Ida. Yeah, right. Because it gives us more understanding or a fuller understanding of what committee you would be joining. So the history of it is that when we started to realize, look at other schools and how other deaf schools or dual schools run their boards and how they were performing, we just thought it'd be more beneficial to use our board in this way, and in terms of Cora laws and all of that good stuff. Okay, any more questions or discussion? Okay, so we'll look forward to that survey, excuse the interpreter. Okay. Our second item for discussion is strategic plan RFP. Tara?
Yes, this is Tara signing. So, starting to develop initially, with our branding process, when we were developing that, the next step would be to start our next strategic plan. So I talked briefly with George, and his recommendation for us to do next would be to send a release out, a RFP, because the cost is less than $50,000. It will be. So I am working with our accounting department and the state just to see what the best process would be for that. And they recommended not a true RFP process. I mean, because that could take months to get through. They recommended instead a release of what's called a scope of work. So I have a rough document of that. It should be attached to in board docs. And it shares a summary there of what that scope of work is, that concept. We're able to email that out to different entities. We could add it to the website for different vendors to be able to reach out to us with their proposals. And then we would contract with one of those vendors to facilitate that process. So I just wanted to make sure that I am keeping you informed as to what's happening, because the strategic plan really is a huge part of the board role. And I just want to make sure that you agree with this plan, you're supportive of this plan as far as the scope of work being used. And I would envision this as when, we would select a vendor, that would probably be something that the board would want to be included on as far as the process goes, to be part of the approval for that vendor. So again, I do have a rough draft document in board docs for you to take some time and review, and then if you would provide some feedback. And then once we pick the vendor, if the board does want to have that approval, we'll go from there.
This is Ida. I just want some clarification, firstly on, and this is all on diligent, correct?
Yes, it's attached there.
So it used
I
to be
know.
board docs and now we've changed to
Yep.
diligent. So I
I
just
said
wanted to
board
clarify
docs.
because I know people might be like, what's board
Yep.
docs?
I forgot. Yep.
Yep. And RFP, can you talk about what that means? What does it stand for?
It's like a request for proposals. So it's similar to what the board identified when you had a contract with a company for hiring the superintendent. It's a similar process, that RFP process.
Right.
And it's used to ensure that different vendors have a fair opportunity, make sure that we are looking at a variety of different vendors. Yeah, that's usually the purpose behind that.
This is Ida. Great. Thank you for that explanation. Right. The superintendent search agency, we went through that process with that before. I think that some of the board members have not. We have some new board members and they might not have gone through that process. So thank you for defining that. So yep, that's what we do when we're going to contract with any outside contractors, meaning that if it has to be less than $50,000, but you still want board approval on it. I want to make sure that's what you're saying.
This is Tara signing. Yes, I do think, well, I think I would really like the board to be involved because again, the strategic plan for the school is such a big part of your role as board members. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Ida. Yeah, I would be thrilled. Yeah, so we're just saying that over $50,000 requires that approval, under
Right.
50,000 doesn't, but just because
Mhm.
of this situation as it pertains to the strategic plan, you
Right.
would like our involvement. Great.
That's exactly
Okay.
right. Yep.
Any thoughts or questions, Michael, Megan? Megan?
Yeah, this is Megan. I think that's all totally standard, Tara. And am trying to refresh my memory on would it be for the next 5 years? Or what duration of time would the strategic plan cover?
Yes, it is for the next 5 years.
5 years. Michael, did I see your hand?
Thank you, Michael speaking. Yeah, these are the kind of situations that we definitely want to be as involved as possible. And obviously, seeing the scope of work that will go into the request for proposal is always essential. But we just never want to be in a situation where we're having to second guess this later or having to work backwards. It's it This is the kind of situation we definitely should be as involved as possible.
Yes. Mhm. Yep.
Yep, this is Ida. Thank you. And I'm wondering if maybe, again, we could send a survey out to the board and ask them for feedback. You know, if we're all in agreement, wonderful, and then we can proceed. But again, there's only three of us tonight.
True. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Look forward to that. That's exciting. There's a lot of new changes happening. I do have one question for, well, the three board members who happen to be here. Um, would it be okay to go ahead and make a video to announce that we did our retreat? We voted on officers and just, you know, share with the community, our involvement and say, this is our new chapter of rebranding, new logo, and at the same time, just you just that will be also used on flyers as well. Good. Okay, I see your thumb up. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Megan, I'm assuming we're good too. Yes. Okay. Okay, awesome. All right, I'll go ahead and work with the attorney, just as usual. And we have a new attorney who's here tonight as well, but I will ask them to help me compose a script, um, and just to ensure that I stay on point for things that were discussed in the meeting and not go rogue. So any other additional things? Paul, I see Paul's comment that says, sorry, I'm late. Yeah, and we're almost finished. So any additional questions or comments, announcements?
Timing on my part, right?
Yes, good timing on your part. Yeah. All right. Well, it's so nice outside. I'd like to take a opportunity to enjoy the good weather outside before it ends. All right. So we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 4:19.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a wonderful couple weeks, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
And thanks, Jennifer and Ryan.
All right, that was nice and easy. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Ruben, and have a wonderful evening.
You guys too. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.